What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about what the Sony-Microsoft partnership means. Now, this news broke yesterday. It was a pretty surprising news story yesterday that Microsoft and Sony had agreed to basically be friends in terms of more of like a streaming kind of world. And this really paints a picture, I believe, for what the future of the next Microsoft console and the next Sony console are going to be. Now, this is a deal made between Microsoft and Sony, so it doesn't necessarily have to do with their gaming, and some of it isn't. They're talking about AI technology and semiconductors and some wordy things like that. Some of these things don't have anything to do with the next generation of consoles, because there's more to Microsoft and Sony than just their gaming consoles. But at the same time, this does show where the future is going for both these consoles in terms of the streaming services. They're going to have a partnership along with that. Now, this could be just to oppose Google Stadia, which obviously was announced a few months ago and made a pretty big wave, and we had talked about it actually on the channel. I made a poll even too, talking about which company really is going to be affected the most by this, who would have the most to lose. And most people said Microsoft, and I believe Microsoft as well, because they have such a push going for streaming and those kind of services going forward. Now, we know Sony is a part of that too. Obviously, Sony needs to have their own thing, and they've had their own thing. PlayStation Now is technically their streaming service, and it's probably, and I don't think it's wrong to say, and personally, I'm a PlayStation player. I own both consoles, but I'm a PlayStation fan. Sony and PlayStation 4 is my main console, and PlayStation 5 will be my main console. But Sony has a lot of problems when it comes to their streaming. Okay, PlayStation Now is easily the weakest out of, I think, all of these. Even if Google Stadia came out right now in its test program, I think it would still be better than PlayStation Now. So Sony has a lot to gain from this, and the partnership with Microsoft, this is really cool. We saw Phil Spencer tweet out as well, talking about how hopefully they can work on their mutual interests to make games better in the future, and this could pave ways to a lot more friendly conversations and more friendly partnerships between the two. Now, it really does paint where they're going in the future, because I still do think that they are kind of going in a different space with their next gaming platform. Now, Microsoft definitely does seem to be more about this streaming, more about services, more about connecting things, right? They're gaining all these studios, and they're putting their services on Nintendo platforms, and there's cross plays now with some games that you can play on PlayStation. So they're really opening things up to kind of make their console a be-all kind of thing. And I think that's what they were going for with the Xbox One as well. That was the big push. If you remember all the things that they had talked about when they first announced the Xbox One, there's a lot of things they backed out on, right? The things of the whole, like, basically if you wanted to give your game to another person, they'd have to rebuy the game. And there was a lot of awful things they talked about that they had to completely back off on, but the vision stayed the same. You could really tell this was about to happen from the beginning of Xbox One, and this is where they've continued, and that's not wrong. It's not bad. I know I don't play a lot of games on the Xbox One, but I'm not going to attack them for doing their own thing. That is what they want to do. Meanwhile, PlayStation seems to be the gaming console of choice, right? They really know, people, consumers really want those AAA single player games. They want to tell stories. They want people to be invested in their games. That is what they're going for. They want power, right? They want the best looking games and the games to run the best, and they want to really make a PC, putting a PC in a gaming system. That's what they want to do. They're both doing kind of different things. They're really, I feel like in this next console generation, there's going to be a lot of things that differentiate the next PS5 from Xbox Scarlett, whereas I think going into this generation, or even PS3 and Xbox 360, they were both gaming consoles. The only thing that separated them was the fact of the exclusives, which exclusives went to which console. I feel like we're going to start seeing, as these console wars keep going, but really they're going to evolve and change. We're going to see them just do different things, and people are going to buy an Xbox Scarlett for one reason, and it's going to be a completely different reason than what you would buy a PS5 for. At the same time, there are mutual things, and again, Phil Spencer tweeted it out, and I'm sure Sony is thinking about it too. There's some things they can work on together. It doesn't mean the next generation of consoles can't have crossplay, and I'm sure that's something that they're both working towards, a partnership towards. I feel like there's going to be a massive amount of games, maybe even all games that are both systems, obviously not exclusives, but games that are for both systems. They'll probably have crossplay, and you can probably play it with anybody. Why alienate, fans, or, you may have friends and you may want to buy a PS5 because you love Uncharted and you heard that they're going to make an Uncharted 5 or The Last of Us Part 3 is going to come out on it or whatever. And then they're going to buy the Xbox Scarlett because they love Halo and Halo Infinite. They want to get that. Well, why should that eliminate you guys from playing it together? So I feel like this deal, while more talking about live or more talking about like streaming services, which is the main point, I mean, I'm sure we're going to get a mix now. I hope Sony can take what Microsoft has done. Maybe even Microsoft can give them what they do with their streaming services, and Sony can use that on the PS4. Maybe they can integrate it, and I'm almost positive it would get integrated into the PS5. Whatever streaming thing is going on with the Xbox Scarlett will probably be available on the PS5 as well, which again is okay. You need some of these things to kind of be the same, and I think if in this case I'm okay with it because Microsoft's is better anyway. So if Sony wants to just take it and roll with it and kind of connect those kind of things together, go ahead. But like I said, I really do feel like this is paving an age in or a way into the next age of having these two become a little bit closer friends. There's going to be the exclusives that are never going to change, right? You're never going to see Halo on a PlayStation, never going to see Uncharted on Xbox. That will never happen because at that point you're basically the same company. I mean, there will still be smaller things that keep these two companies or keep these two systems apart, but you're going to have, I think, way more things that are similar and also way more things that are different about the next generation of consoles. The third-party games will obviously still be the same. They may look a little different in each console because who knows if they're going to have the exact same specs and be just as powerful as one another. So far, the last two console generations, they've been very close, but they haven't been exactly the same. You're not getting the exact same specs in the PS3 as Xbox 360. You're not getting the exact same specs in the PS4 as you would the Xbox One. So things like that will change, obviously, but the third-party games, they'll both be available. Streaming services, maybe cross-play, who knows? But I do think there's going to be quite a lot of things that are going to be the same about the next generation of consoles. And at the same time, I do feel, again, Sony is going to focus heavily on the gaming side, and Microsoft will focus on the kind of being everywhere. Let's expand to Nintendo. Let's expand to your PC. Let's expand to your mobile device. Let's expand to your tablet. Let's do all that. That's kind of what Microsoft has been doing the last 2, 3, 4 years, and I feel like this next console is really going to be that final push to do it. And meanwhile, Sony, VR, PlayStation VR, exclusive games, really focusing on the story, focusing on the power, getting the most you possibly can out of these things. They have been the gaming system for the last, I'd say 5, 6 years, ever since the PS4, even late in the PS3 age when they caught up to the sales of the Xbox 360 and actually outsold the 360. And now we're here at the PS4, and now we're going to the PS5, and I wouldn't honestly expect their mentality to change. They've been doing the same thing for the last half a decade that I think they're going to continue with the PS5, just like Microsoft is doing the same thing that they've been doing with the Xbox One. They'll be continuing with the Xbox Scarlett. So really this deal is just kind of putting all of these things together and really getting us ready, I think, for the next age or the next console generation for both of these publishers or both these companies, really. So I'm super excited to see where this goes. I want to see this kind of stuff. I want to see, how's it going to be introduced? Will Microsoft talk about it at their E3 conference? I feel like they will. I feel like there'll be some sort of nod to Sony or mention that they're working with them, and we'll just have to see how that all goes. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this news story? What do you think it means for the future of Microsoft and Sony and the Xbox Scarlett and PS5? Let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And thank you, as always, for watching. I hope to see you on the next video.